The reality that Sister Wives production won't openly acknowledge is this: Kody and Robyn weren't positioned as the heroes of the season. Instead, they were set up as figures of ridicule. It appears the couple who were meant to be the season's central figures, Kody and Robyn Brown, have finally gotten what they desired: the main spotlight. However, the attention they're receiving is as harsh as the bright fluorescent lights found in hospital corridors. The prevailing theory suggests that production told Kody and Robyn they would be featured prominently this season, but failed to mention the story would unfold as a slow-moving disaster, highlighting their disconnect from reality and dysfunctional behavior. The way scenes are edited tells the whole story. Viewers experience a striking juxtaposition between forced attempts to portray them as capable parents and throwback clips showing Logan genuinely taking care of the family. In one moment, Robyn wanders around Coyote Pass wearing an unfortunate hat, while the next moment reminds audiences who truly held the family together, and it certainly wasn't her or her husband dressed in his lumberjack outfit. The change in how production handles the show is clear. The approach has become more pointed, the sarcasm more pronounced, and the tolerance for their behavior has worn thin. It makes one question whether Kody and Robyn have someone managing their public image, whispering promises of image rehabilitation. How else would Kody end up on Special Forces? Was it an opportunity from the network, or simply another frantic effort to prolong his moment in the public eye before it disappears completely? At the same time, audiences must stomach the unpleasant sight of Robyn browsing expensive homes bought with family money that conveniently vanished once the original wives gained their freedom. Observing her perform the role of suffering victim while enjoying what she obtained through questionable means feels as authentic as someone trying out for a villain's role in a daytime drama. The actual stars of Sister Wives have consistently been the women who walked away. Janelle, Mary, and Christine, along with their children, represent what viewers genuinely want to see: personal development, strength, and authentic affection. Their family connections provide a beautiful counterpoint to Kody and Robyn's continuous display of self-pity. Kody, who continues to view himself as the story's main character, remains convinced the program centers on his charm, a misconception as persistent as the Coyote Pass pond, which happens to have comparable energy. His on-screen time now mostly features extended speeches and empty explanations, while the genuinely compelling narratives belong to the wives and their adult children, creating fresh starts. As the show struggles toward what seems like its unavoidable ending, viewers can only wish for one final chapter: Kody and Robyn Brown receiving their deserved consequences. Hopefully, the series finale will honor the remarkable growth of the original wives, leaving the wannabe king and his tearful queen to confront their realm of financial problems and rejection of reality. Audiences have already started expressing their preferences through their viewing choices, fast-forwarding through all Kody and Robyn content to watch practically anything else. But why should they be concerned? Their payment still arrives. Kody will gladly act the part of the jester for money, desperately holding on to any television appearance that could help with another debt payment. After filming ends, Robyn might possibly reinvent herself as a wrongly judged victim, the disliked favorite wife, mistreated by both her spouse and her faith. Anticipate a personal story filled with excessive drama and minimal personal responsibility. In the end, nobody has interest in Kody and Robyn any longer. Their narrative has become as worn out as the previous season's emotional games. The show's genuine core exists in the retrospective moments, the instances when Logan, rather than Kody, demonstrated what true family guidance resembles. This is because while Kody occupied himself with acting like a father for viewers, Logan actually fulfilled that role daily. And that, quite ironically, represents the lasting impression Kody can never escape through editing. She didn't experience failure in polygamy. She achieved success in gaining exclusive access to Kody. The second episode of season 11 of Sister Wives functions as a lesson in looking back that's remarkably perceptive, to the point of seeming predictive. During that memorable sofa scene, Kody and Robyn sit side by side crying, offering apologies to each other. Then Robyn states one of the most disturbingly perceptive statements ever spoken on the program. The success of a plural family depends on the wives' relationships. If we can't make it work, nothing works. When originally spoken, it appeared thoughtful, possibly even admirable. Looking back now, it served as an understated admission of future events. Robyn grasped with remarkable understanding that the delicate balance of plural marriage depended not on the husband's guidance, but on the women's capability to exist together peacefully. However, as those connections fell apart, her bond with Kody grew stronger. That Souch moment now appears to be the precise instance when she understood she had no need for the other wives whatsoever. She could reshape what success meant according to her personal standards, in one in which the multiple wife aspect of the marriage silently disappeared. Her understanding was never in question. The issue was her application of it. Instead of reinforcing the group, she turned her knowledge into a weapon to protect her connection with Kody, regardless of the cost to others. Robyn's actions from the beginning indicated this result was bound to happen. She never genuinely became part of the pre-existing family structure. During the courting period itself, she pulled Kody away from his other spouses. Occasionally, during remarkably insensitive moments, such as when Christine was approaching childbirth, and Robyn insisted on Kody being present for an additional farewell kiss. Later, she would pretend not to know his location, stating she also didn't know where Kody was, despite him staying at her residence nightly. Showing regard for the other wives or their offspring was never among her capabilities. Quite ironically, the exact belief system Robyn previously advocated about sisterhood forming the basis of plural marriage was destroyed by her personal failure to practice it. The viability of a polygamous family also demands self-sufficiency. Each wife needs to handle her individual domain without requiring continuous male oversight. Robyn, though, never felt at ease without Kody's continuous focus. Her neediness established her as simultaneously his preferred choice and his burden. Naturally, responsibility doesn't lie entirely with her. Kody's leadership approach flourished on creating separation. A husband genuinely committed to polygamy would strive to ensure fairness among spouses and offspring equally, encouraging teamwork instead of mistrust. However, Kody, consistently suspicious, wanted his wives kept apart from each other. Reduced collaboration translated to reduced danger of revolt. The system's collapse under his guidance comes as no surprise. The Brown family's belief that polygamy functions solely when all wives maintain harmony was never sacred wisdom. It represented dominance disguised as togetherness. It positioned the responsibility for achievement entirely on the women while absolving Kody of responsibility. Regarding Robyn, her intentions continue to be a lasting mystery. If she genuinely wanted plural marriage at any point, undermining it to become Kody's sole focus doesn't make logical sense. No favorite position exists when you're the only remaining option. But if she never desired polygamy from the beginning, then the marriage was always a transaction, a pathway to standing wealth, and a meticulously crafted public persona. Regardless, that Souch moment represents the pivotal moment. Through a single statement and one emotional admission, Robyn Brown exposed everything necessary to understand, not regarding the achievement of plural marriage, but concerning the subtle technique of destroying it. Kody Brown doesn't lack communication ability. He excels at controlling others. The absence of communication represents the plan. At this stage, observing the Browns attempting to manage adult issues seems less like witnessing a family business conversation and more like experiencing entrapment in a poorly executed middle school group assignment. The Coyote Pass disaster, featuring Kody's refusal to contact Mary and his requirement that messages pass through Janelle, perfectly demonstrates their shared failure to function as responsible adults. The situation involves 5 individuals in middle age who can't organize a simple email correspondence. Not an emotionally charged confrontation, not a family counseling meeting, simply an email discussion regarding property information. Clearly, that represents an overly advanced idea. Kody's resistance to straightforward communication isn't a lack of ability, it's a calculated approach. When narrative control eludes him, he manages the confusion instead. The individual has consistently prospered through disorder. Keeping everyone in an unstable state guarantees his position as the focal point of their problems. Declining to send an email translates to no documented record, no responsibility, and unlimited chances to later explain matters using whichever narrative serves him best. This goes beyond simple immaturity. It's controlling behavior Robyn, during this time, began her personal spending spree, purchasing freely throughout the pandemic, as though shopping therapy could purchase her a character. In combination, they delayed, bewildered, and complicated the Coyote past circumstances into such confusion that they presumably expected Janelle and Mary would simply give up. Temporarily, this approach nearly succeeded. Kody used his documented name on all paperwork to secure approval for the new residents, thinking he had outsmarted everyone. However, what did their efforts truly achieve? Material possessions. Costly, flashy, cheerless material possessions. Their large house, an excessively adorned monument to poor judgment and fantasy, contains terrible jewelry, clashing artwork, and an overwhelming atmosphere of unhappiness. They possess objects, yet lack emotional bonds. They have physical barriers, yet no coziness. Even devastating events, such as losing Garrison in a heartbreaking way, failed to shock them into personal examination. Their domain stands upon separation, and this becomes evident. During this time, the women they abandoned have discovered what Kody and Robyn could never find: tranquility, meaning, and authentic contentment. Christine reconstructed her existence completely from nothing, discovering affection, joy, and a companion who encourages her explorations instead of restricting them. She exists without constraints, encircled by her offspring and grandchildren, projecting the happiness that previously remained missing from all Brown family moments. Janelle similarly flourishes. North Carolina has transformed into her refuge. She exists among family, constructing her ideal residence without negotiation or authority. She explores, demonstrates ease in smiling, and recovers encircled by affection instead of self-importance. The difference couldn't be more pronounced. As Robyn submerges in theatrical sorrow, Janelle radiates with understated strength. Mary, previously the most reluctant to escape, ultimately recognized through the confusion of manipulation that the pandemic exposed so unmistakably. She departed, though without an elaborate strategy, and located firm foundation in companionship and honest realities. Although her connections with the offspring might remain restricted, she currently exists among individuals who recognize her value beyond her offerings to Kody's delicate self-image. And there exists the sad humor of Kody and Robyn's present situation. They sustain themselves through mutual complaints, persuading themselves they represent victims of betrayal instead of designers of their personal collapse. They spread gossip, they justify, and they label it morality. Unhappiness ultimately seeks companionship, and they possess that abundantly. They can purchase a larger residence, yet they cannot buy reliability. They can collect belongings, yet not emotional attachment. Every effort to display contentment appears as manufactured as the furnishings surrounding them. Robyn continues being an image of self-centeredness and fakeness. Kody, an inflated parody of manhood who confuses authority with guidance. Therefore, when Kody expresses sorrow about his isolation in that enormous, oversized house, the contradiction becomes self-evident. He merits the loneliness. Ultimately, he dedicated years guaranteeing that anyone with the capacity to care for him would eventually possess no justification to remain. Their monetary judgment will arrive, as it invariably does for individuals who confuse belongings with satisfaction. However, the genuine cost has already been settled. An affection forfeited, regard wasted, and a reputation that's transformed into a warning narrative. The former leader of the Browns and his self-selected perfect match possessed everything they plotted to obtain and nothing valuable to demonstrate for it. There existed a time when Kody Brown demonstrated concern. Then Vegas occurred, and that individual never returned. A previous iteration of Kody Brown existed who seemed to demonstrate deep, even gentle concern toward his offspring. Reviewing the initial seasons of Sister Wives provides the disturbing juxtaposition between that individual and the bitter parody who currently expresses anger throughout interview segments. Season 8 documents the last moment of that previous identity. When Kody and the family traveled to see Maddie at university, the moment appeared like a wholesome family memory. Joy, affection, the uncomfortable enthusiasm of a daughter achieving independence. Observing Maddie's mostly bare refrigerator, Kody rushed to the recreational vehicle to collect food bags for her. It represented a minor action, yet significant. The behavior of a father who observed, demonstrated concern appeared. Between that instance and his present public outbursts on national television, that individual vanished. Maddie's current emotional pain makes complete logical sense. She previously possessed a father who demonstrated effort. Currently, she has a public opponent who analyzes his offspring's devotions for viewers. Within Las Vegas, somewhere, Kody's character transformed into bitterness. The transformation aligned perfectly with his removal from the church, a critical juncture that appears to have removed both organization and restraint from him. After his religious explanation for plural marriage disappeared, he seemed to understand he didn't especially desire the other spouses. Regardless, Cole simply supplied the justification to withdraw into the protective environment of single-partner marriage he desired throughout. The hypothesis that hormones or steroids contributed to this change fits almost too perfectly. The unpredictability, the explosions of self-importance, the inflated confidence, it matches the pattern. However, chemical disruption by itself doesn't account for the damaging effect of Robyn Brown, consistently the murmuring figure next to him. Her expertise has always been understated, undermining the delicate technique of corrupting influence. Maddie's self-reliance and rejection of submitting to Robyn's control established her as an easy target. Robyn's barely concealed envy of Kody's fondness for Maddie resurfaces in subsequent seasons when she portrayed Aspen's direct discussion with her father as aggressive. It represents a recognizable sequence. When Robyn feels being overlooked, she reconstructs the story to discipline the rival. Then there exists Kody's recent pastime of publicly degrading his family. His broadcast criticisms against his offspring and previous spouses represent the variety of injuries that never fully recover. Regardless if reconciliation eventually happens, his public disdain has eliminated the appearance of personal dedication. Even more damaging, his elder offspring currently observe him executing Parent of the Year performances for Robyn's offspring, evidence that the gentleness he previously provided them wasn't eliminated, simply redirected. Concerning that previously moving bag of recreational vehicle food, one could argue it demonstrated more performance than genuine parental care. Kody could have straightforwardly taken Maddie to a shop and purchased her genuine food. But generosity requiring documentation has never represented his capability. Even during his alleged demonstrations of concern, an element of self-praise existed. In the end, what damaged the connection between Kody and Maddie wasn't physical distance or a situation. It represented the requirement for devotion above honesty. He expected her to select him above her mother, confirming his fantasies, accompanying him to Flagstaff in representative compliance. When she declined, he reinterpreted her self-reliance as disloyalty. Kody claims he wants regard, yet what he genuinely wants is obedience. The singular aspect that's multiple regarding him right now is the quantity of connections he's damaged. They said Robyn's adoption concerned family togetherness, but imagine if it actually represented a heavenly authority seizure masked as parenthood. The Brown family's heavenly aspirations have always possessed a slight indication of bureaucratic complications, and Robyn's insistence for Kody to adopt her offspring only intensified it. Superficially, it resembled a gentle demonstration of togetherness. Actually, it represented an exceptional combination of religious belief, self-importance, and legal maneuvering. Certain analysts indicate the Latter-day Saint idea of heavenly family. A variety of sacred family agreement with perpetual extension advantages. For an individual like Robyn, already attached to a separate individual through her initial marriage, that created a universal, practical issue. She desired her offspring connected to the individual she presently focused upon. Consequently, the necessity for adoption legal documentation to correspond with the divine structure. Even Mary's emotional collapse regarding not desiring to separate Robyn's offspring from her throughout time and forever abruptly becomes more comprehensible. What appeared like excessive reaction could have been authentic cosmic terror, a heavenly guardianship conflict of unlimited length. However, the religious explanation begins to become unstable under examination. The AUB, Apostolic United Brethren, similar to the primary LDS Church it's separated from, values patriarchal control so firmly it's challenging to envision a woman independently breaking her offspring's connection from one father and reconnecting them to another without church involvement. And that precedes addressing the universal coordination. If all virtuous men receive personal planets in the afterlife, how precisely do families share existence? Does everyone travel between planets to participate in eternal family meals? The heavenly property arrangement fails under its personal religious complexity. Then appears the less sacred, more earthly clarification, Robyn's legal reasons. Her sequence of moving her offspring from Wyoming to southern Utah, then northern Utah, and ultimately Nevada, aligned perfectly with reducing her former husband's contact. Shared custody, certainly, yet each state boundary shifted the standards farther. Regardless if he was obligated for child financial support, which she indicated, access and monetary obligation represent distinct issues. Had he selected to contest, the legal system could have regarded her continuous moves negatively. However, he didn't. Whether from discretion or weariness, he released it, and she prevailed. When the adoption happened, it received nationwide television coverage, a polished, arranged instance that presumably provided her offspring with minimal choice. The outcome wasn't simply a fresh legal family name, but a public separation of their paternal connection, transmitted under the appearance of family togetherness. Quite ironically, despite all the religious claims, the heavenly calculations don't support Robyn or Kody. Their connection started with unfaithfulness. According to the church's personal ethical calculations, If the teaching remains valid, Kody's pre-proposal kisses with Robyn during his continued legal marriage to 3 other women represented adultery acts. Stated differently, he might have sacrificed his chance at divine status completely. No planet, no eternal domain, simply Robyn managing her isolated heavenly property, while Kody dedicates eternity striking the divine entrance, claiming he experienced misunderstanding. So possibly the adoption didn't concern the afterlife whatsoever. Perhaps it simply concerned authority over identities, stories, and dedication systems, all during this existence instead of the following. The heavenly family might sound sacred, but for the Browns, it represents simply another family legal system with superior illumination. Nothing reveals a false authority figure more rapidly than genuine stress. And Kody Brown collapsed immediately. Again, Kody Brown demonstrates to everyone that his worldview dominates. We're all simply unfortunate background participants experiencing it. On Special Forces' world's toughest test, Kody's inflated self-regard achieved fresh, confusing levels. When questioned regarding credentials, Brianna calmly responds that she creates podcasts. Kody, displaying all the seriousness of an individual who's accomplished exactly nothing meaningful, expresses mockery. That's all. The contradiction explains itself. What precisely represent his credentials? Wedding multiple women and forcing them all toward emotional breaking points? When confronting a task that demanded rescuing an injured person, Kody's automatic response wasn't courage, but escape. His important instruction, "Leave him, let's go." This naturally represented the exact reverse of the assignment's purpose. The assignment required extracting the injured person. However, Kody, experiencing panic, acting frantically, and remarkably unaware, selected fearfulness as approach. It's surprising he hasn't received official acknowledgement as a tactical expert for creating Desert the Wounded methods. And predictably, he claimed authority without request because he's male, and consequently, according to his perspective, destined to assume control. "Let's go, ladies. I am he," he commanded, as though gender by itself established him as qualified to guide. The outcome, a group breakdown thanks to Captain's self-importance. This doesn't represent a singular occurrence. It's a consistent pattern in the Kody Brown approach. Claim power, escape obligation, and fail under slight stress. His actions reflect previous instances of failure, such as throughout Dayton's all-terrain vehicle incident, when his son Hunter maintained organization both physically and symbolically, while Kody, the responsible adult, accomplished nothing. Authority doesn't represent his talent. Childish irritability does. This represents the identical individual who previously complained about a 99-degree body temperature as though he approached death. The boldness of challenging others' credentials becomes absurd, originating from an individual whose background states reality television figure, occasional indicator, disconnected father of numerous offspring, and self-declared leader of disorder. One could contend that podcast creators labor more intently and accomplish greater logical consistency within 1 hour than Kody achieves throughout a complete season of self-advertisement, making circumstances more problematic. His actions throughout the training wasn't simply worthless, it was intrusive. As the group advanced into a building, he positioned his hand upon the back of the woman ahead of him, an action both needless and condescending. The continuous requirement to display superiority, physical or alternative, emerged from all interactions. Kody's most significant ability has consistently been confusing pride with power. Observing him fail under genuine stress reveals the reality previously concealed underneath his exaggeration. He doesn't represent a guide, doesn't represent a warrior, and definitely doesn't represent the protagonist of any narrative except the one continuously running inside his personal thought. If you experience that indirect humiliation, also press subscribe before it disappears.